Hello everybody. Sunday morning. Let's do our study group for warriors. I'm going to burn my incense as I always do. Some of you are new to the channel. I'll put this in a little holder over here. I got about, 50 new subscribers this week. That's a good thing. Grow our community. Welcome to the channel. Every single Sunday I get down with a study group for warriors. So it's Sunday, let's get down with it. How this works is I study every single day. It's part of the Mind, Body, and Soul program. I program every single day, 7 days a week. This is how we get through. This is how we get towards our goals. This is how we get over the past. But let's get into it. Where's my notes? I'm going to have to reach over here. Excuse me. I'm not prepared this morning. Usually I prepare for this stuff. I didn't feel like it this morning. Let's just get into it. I take notes on what I study every single day. This study group is really just designed to give you guys some extra stuff to think about for the day. Not everybody needs it. Some of you are just cuddling with your significant other, maybe with your dogs in your bed. Stay there. Some of us have been up since 4 a.m. programming, trying to get stronger. So let's get into it. I hope I haven't gone over any of this stuff before, but if I have, you'll just hear it again. There's an interesting little phenomenon going on that I've noticed. It's not a wave of faith or anything like that. It seems like in Western civilization, if you do this research and you look into statistics, the belief in a higher power, the belief in God is waning. It's falling. Atheism is rising. But there is a small segment of conservative young men in England, in America, in Australia, in Western civilization, Canada. Can't forget you Canadians. Where they are finding religion. They're reading the Bible and they're becoming very faithful. And I find this fascinating that it's happening from young men, that young men are interested in this. This wasn't my experience being a young 20-something. I rejected all religion. I became an atheist. And a lot of us grew up with religion in the household because our parents were that way. But then when you get in your late teens, early 20s, a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people in my generation went through a process of kind of self-discovery, rejecting all authority, rejecting any kind of organized thought, any kind of organized religion, anything like that. And you might spend a good part of your 20s and 30s being an atheist, and then when people start dying off around you, your family members and friends and things like that, as you get older, you go through a lot of death when you get older. You might start thinking about a higher power. You might start thinking about heaven and hell and all those types of things. But there is this rebirth of religion. You know, Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche said, God is dead. Well, I think there's a rebirth of God. God has been reborn. And it's fascinating to me. I think it's a good thing. Let's go on to the next one. There's a quote, I forget who said it. Might have been Jordan Peterson. I listen to a lot of Jordan Peterson, particularly when I'm out in the shop working. I like to have something going on the speaker. I got a Bluetooth speaker back there, and I'll just be working on stuff and just kind of hear this go in and out of whatever conversation is happening. But here's the statement. Traditions are experiments that worked. I think that's a good way to look at traditions. Some people don't like tradition. It's outdated. What's the point of this anyways? I ask myself that every year about this time, with these holidays. What's the point of these holidays? But I think traditions are a good thing. Traditions within society are a good thing. Having your own personal traditions. You say, this is a tradition for me. Maybe not for my neighbors, but this is what I do. That's a good thing. These are experiments that work and that you realize, okay, this works for me and I want to do this again. Hence it becomes a tradition. Let's do this again next year, honey. We'll come to the Bahamas every year. Bam, Bahamas are a tradition for you. Traditions are experiments that work. We can build our lives on those. That becomes the foundation of our lives. It doesn't mean you can't explore into the future. It just means that you have something to fall back on. You have a foundation. That's why family is important. Let's move on to the next one. I could stay on that for a while, apparently. Let's move on to the next one. I got a lot to talk about. We've already been rambling for 5 minutes. I still got 6 more pages. I may have said this before. It's the kind of thing I say a lot, but it's true. If you're looking for a reason to live, find something to die for. The reason why you're going to stay alive today is to fight another day for what you care about. Find something that you care about. Do you care about anything? It could be a dog. There's your reason to live. You fight for that dog every single day. The reason why you're alive is not for yourself. It's to feed that dog and to care for that dog and to make sure that dog has a good life. That's your job. You don't get to check out. I don't care if you're miserable. You have a reason to live. Some people sit with that gun on the table wondering, do I even have a reason to live? You got to find something. It's not going to come knocking on your door. You got to find something. It may be within you. It may be a belief system. It may be something small. But if you're looking for a reason to live, you find something that you'll die for. You guys know about the Overton window? It's a confusing concept. Let me put it the other way. It's a simple concept that's made confusing when you explain it. Basically, the Overton window is this window of moderate thought. You know how we have extreme thought on either ends of the spectrum, extreme right, extreme left, and then in the middle are the moderates. That's your Overton window, are those moderates. And moderate thought, I think, is a good thing politically. However, it can be limiting. This is why we have the extremes, and they have a necessary role, but we have to keep those extremes in check so they don't get out of control. And we have to watch the Overton window will shift. It won't grow in size, meaning that the population of the moderates don't really rise or shrink. What's acceptable within societal discourse, that's really what the moderate realm is about. So what's acceptable within societal discourse, that doesn't shrink or grow, but it may shift to the right or to the left. So now we are shifted way to the left with what's acceptable moderate discourse. And if Trump wins, we may shift to the right. Now the problem with going to these drastic shifts of that middle moderate section, that Overton window, when the Overton window shifts too drastically to one extreme or the other, because one side is pulling it towards them, it gets this pendulum effect. And if you've ever seen a pendulum, they really swing, man. They can swing and swing and swing. So I think really the only lesson with it is to respect the radicals, but don't let them take over. And to be our brother's keeper, where if you see your friends going off the deep end, one of the reasons why you keep them in line and you bring them back to reality is to save your friend so he doesn't end up in prison or whatever, joining the Klan or something, but also to keep the Overton window. You want to make a difference in society, keep that Overton window from swinging too far. And we do that by self-regulation, regulation of our families. You know, I mean, you see how some families have an ideology to the family. It's rare to see a mother and a husband completely on the different spectrum of political thought. It's rare to see a conservative Republican and a liberal Democrat married. It does happen, but it's rare. Usually the whole family kind of goes one direction and the father leads that. And that's important. So fathers, try not to get too radical. There's nothing wrong with having that revolutionary spirit, but realize that you're a role model and that you have to, you have society's weight on your shoulders, man. That's a heavy load. We carry a heavy load as men. It's a heavy load you carry. Welcome to being a man. Let's go to the next one. Learn the code, and you know exactly who you're dealing with instantly. People speak in code. We just talked about the alt-right or the progressive left. Both of those groups, those radical groups, radicals and extremists speak in code. They absolutely do. You'll see this in politicians, in your media influencers. You'll see this in all kinds of people. They speak in code, and you may not know who you're dealing with, because some people are really sophisticated in how they talk. You may not know that you're dealing with some extremist, a terrorist, somebody way off the deep end. They may be a lone wolf. They may be undercover. And they're speaking in code. So learn the code. Learn the dialect of the enemy. And you'll know exactly who you're dealing with. You'll hear those words. You'll hear those catchwords, those code words. A couple of them string together, and you'll be like, okay, I got your number. I know exactly what you're about, motherfucker. Let's go to the next one. We have any time left? Yeah, we'll do a couple more. We reconstruct reality as we see it. I think that's an interesting statement, and you may not, but listen to what I'm saying. We reconstruct, that's the word. We reconstruct reality as we see it. So we see reality, looking across the room, you see what's in your house or your apartment or wherever you're at. And you think you're seeing that in real time, but there is a delay. Because in that delay, your brain has to process the information through its 5 senses and make sense of it, have some sort of perspective on it, put everything in place, and then we kind of spit it back out to ourselves as a story, and we're watching life as it happens as a story. And your perception is based on how well you can put that story together in the moment. Some people have a very weak perception of the world. They don't perceive things right. Some people, they're all out of whack. They're just not seeing right. And it's this problem of interpreting what the senses are presenting to them. And scientifically, or let's talk about biologically, the less accurate perception gets weeded out of our evolution. So people that don't perceive reality properly, evolutionally, they get weeded out, they die. This is just a long way of saying stupid people have a hard life. Stupid people die, man. If you're stupid, you're gonna have a hard fucking time. Let's end it off with talking about a little manipulation. I'm gonna teach you guys how to manipulate people. I don't usually do this. But people love to hear obvious facts. If you want to be popular and you want people to like you, keep all your fancy, brand new, bright ideas to yourself and just talk about obvious bullshit that everybody already knows about. And you're thinking, well, that's boring. This is a manipulative trick. It may be done to you. It's important to understand manipulation because someone may be doing this to you. You see, men, particularly men, we love to be right and we love to live in a world of knowledge where we know things, where we think we know things. A weak man is in a world where he doesn't know what's going on because you can get anxiety. I should probably state that a little bit better. It's not the unknown that makes you weak. It's how you fail to interpret it that makes you weak. So people love this realm of the known as opposed to the unknown, particularly men. So if you're trying to be popular, whether it's online or in a group or wherever, if that's your goal, if you want to manipulate somebody, what you do is you feed them a bunch of stuff that they already know. State the obvious. The sky is blue, water is wet, God is great, I love America. Just state obvious stuff. And people will reaffirm it. They love to validate the obvious. They love to just reaffirm the obvious. Men love this. It's a game. Especially when you get into the world of philosophy and beliefs and politics. Just say something that you know the whole group is going to agree with, and they'll all talk for an hour and have this riotous excitement towards it. If you want to shut everybody up and have everybody put their hands in their pockets and walk off and never talk about anything again with you, keep spewing your brand new ideas. Now, I'm not trying to hold you back. You creative people that think outside the box, I'm not trying to hold you back. I'm teaching you how to manipulate people. I can make a video like I did the other day and tell people to stay away from hookers and whores. The obvious fact, something that every single one of you already knows. That video has 1,700 likes and it's counting, 1,700 views and lots of likes, and it's counting, it's going, it maybe has 2,000 by now. That was 2 days ago. I made a video yesterday about motorcycles where there's no actual obvious point to the video. It's just my opinion on what motorcycles I like. That video only got 50 views. Why? What's the difference between the one and the other? It's not the keywords or the catchphrase in the title. It's the fact that one video simply tells you the obvious. Don't sleep with hookers. That's the message of that video, and people loved it. They love hearing the obvious message. Guys went berserk. They went nuts over it. Just over an obvious message that you already know. So I'm teaching you how to manipulate others, but I'm also teaching you how to stop being manipulated. Is there anybody blowing smoke up your ass? Is there anybody in your world that constantly tells you what you want to hear? That motherfucker is trying to manipulate you. Food for thought. Merry Christmas.